We're talking about the legendary Miss Spoony, honey.
She's here. She has allergies. My cat has allergies.
Oh, I'm not. Mine are really bad right now. So, hey, it's I'm gonna let you finish. Welcome back to
All right. So let's talk about the topic. Okay, this is what I love about award shows. You have all these people going, award shows are bullshit. They're bullshit. I didn't watch them. They're bullshit. But I'm mad that so-and-so didn't win. It's like, you can't have it both ways. Either they're bullshit.
Right.
People take more pride in going, oh, I didn't watch, like, oh, I don't have a television. Anyway, so the Oscars.
Those are always my favorites.
Yeah, it's like, just shut up. I don't have a tractor trailer. I don't tell people
you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't have a whirlpool tub, but, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things I don't have. All right, so the Oscars, and someone made a really good point. And
the horrible-ass, lowest-rated Oscars.
All right, but someone made a great point. It doesn't, the ratings, and you've said this before, people don't watch television, so how do we know what's being replayed on YouTube?
Right.
And blah, 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 blah. So I watched part of it because the season premiere of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After was on, so I have my priorities, and that sucked, but that's a whole nother discussion. I watched part of it. They did the best they could do under the circumstances. It was weird that there were no clips from the movies.
Well, here's the thing that I was about to say to you. This is film's biggest night. Let's celebrate the movies and let's not show you a thing. Because here's the thing that happens with me sometimes with the Oscars. There's a bunch of shit I haven't seen, but I might see a clip of something that makes me say, you know what, I need to look at that and I see the movie. But now, I'm like Nomadland, just all this shit I haven't seen. I'm just like, man, well, they didn't even bother to show the shit. Why should I even bother to turn around and go back and see them?
Nomadland is worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Right.
It really is. It's quite beautiful. She's great in it. Frances
she's
McDormand,
great in everything.
Who did win. Yeah, but I mean, this is, you know, she actually, what's funny is that I ended up watching a lot of the stuff, like the shorts. I watched the film that won the best short animation. I watched the film that won the best short live action, which is really powerful, called Two Strangers or Two Distant Strangers with Joey Badass.
Yeah.
It's a little triggering, and I hate that word. I actually saw more of the films that I thought. I mean, Nomadland did win. It's quite beautiful. It's well acted. It's an interesting premise. It was wonderful to see only the second woman in Academy Award history win Best Director and the first woman of color. Period. And she wore sneakers, which I thought was really cool.
But so be you.
I would actually, like, it would be an excuse.
Would you put on a heel?
My idea of a heel and normal people's idea of a heel is very different.
I would love to see you in
I
know that you're tall, but I still would want to see you in like a 6-inch stiletto.
Oh, no, I can't. No.
It would be
no. I would look. I can't walk in a heel. I can't. I still walk like a boy. I can't do it. And not a boy who wants to be a girl.
The boys are wearing heels now, and some of them are walking better than the girls.
That's true. All right, so the big controversy, all right, so it was predicted based on all the awards he had won up until this point, and that's a good barometer, that Chadwick Boseman would win for Ma Rainey. And so because of that,
Anthony Hopkins did win a couple of awards for The Father as well leading up.
So there's two things there. First off, so they rearranged the running order because I think obviously they were thinking it was going to be this big glorious tribute to Chadwick Boseman, which is amazing.
And they made it because they put the actress and actor out there. Everybody thought, okay,
it was over.
They thought, wow, they put these two for last because we're about to have a groundbreaking night of people of color winning these two big awards. And it seemed like that's what everybody was waiting for. Now, the weird thing about people getting upset about Chadwick not winning is, if we can really be honest, a lot of people I know did not see Ma Rainey. And then out of a big chunk of people I know that watched it, a lot of them did not like Ma Rainey. So I've had so many debates with people being like, he should have won. I'm like, well, what do you think of the movie? Well, I didn't watch it, so why do you think he should have won?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, first off, look, he was very good in it, but it's not like he lost to Adam Sandler, okay? He lost to Sir Anthony Hopkins, who, whatever you want to, who is one of the greatest actors of his generation. And this bullshit of like, oh, he didn't even show up. Well, okay, he's 83 years old, he's not in good health, and there's a pandemic. Maybe that's why he didn't show up to snub anybody.
Well, no, that's not why he didn't show up. They said why he didn't show up also. Like, he is 83, he lives in Wales, and the Oscars, he wanted to zoom in, they would not let him, and they said, well, we have a hub in London or Dublin, and he was like, he's like, I'm 83, I'd have to quarantine and do all of this stuff for one night, and he was like, I live in Wales.
It's what I'm saying is people were trying to play it like he was deliberately snubbing Chadwick.
I know. Well,
so
they tried to. It's all.
No, it's bullshit. Okay.
Made up madness.
Yeah. So I have not seen The Father. I tried to watch it last night on my magical jailbroken thing. But it's Anthony Hopkins. And the thing about Chadwick Boseman and Ma Rainey, I saw it. I thought it was very good, but it felt like people acting. It felt like a lot of acting going on. And he was actually a supporting role, if you want to get technical about it, because he's not on screen the whole time. But he was very, very good. But this righteous indignation, and I understand in terms of representation, but to say he was amazing, Anthony Hopkins didn't deserve to win. Did you see The Father? No. Well, then how do you know? How do you know? How do you know?
Well, let me just say this. I hate that people scream representation for everything. Black actors have won. I know not as many as white actors. I don't want to hear about that when it comes to winning an Oscar. When Chadwick Boseman made a bunch of movies after Black Panther that people did not run to the theater and support. So I'm not into this faux support of you should have won. But when things like 21 Bridges open, people did not go see it in his other movies.
Not at all. Not at all.
So it's like, don't come with your support on you should have won when you did not put your money where your mouth was, when this man had other movies other than Black Panther. So it's like, you guys want to scream Wakanda forever. Wakanda's not a real place. Support people in their work. It's not about, it's the social media-ness of it all, right? Everybody have their opinion on why he should have won. It's like, but he didn't. Guess what?
Yeah, and he did.
Glenn Close should have won 2 years ago for The White. We all thought she was going to win. She wore a golden dress, and she did not win. That is the Oscars. That's the way it happens sometimes.
That's the way it happened.
And that's what it is.
I've been wanting to see Minari anyway, but that woman kills me. The woman who won for Best. She's hilarious.
No, she was like, Brad Pitt, where were you when we were filming?
No, she's hilarious. So, and we've had this. Daniel Kaluuya was great. He was way too old to play that role, but that's fine. That's not his fault. That was the director's fault. But I'm just, like I said, and then we can kind of.
It was missing the big. Look, I thought the best thing about the show was Regina King opening it. She was great. Yeah. The show was boring and dumb. And the reason why everybody was so excited for Brad Pitt, it was like, look, a big star. There's one. Yeah. You know what I mean? I needed an Angelina Jolie moment.
Oh, God, I didn't need her. I never need her. I think she's horrible. I think she's a horrible woman. Horrible woman.
She's amazing. I love her. Listen. Okay, she might be a little trampy, steal your husband.
I don't mean about trampy.
Wait, no, I mean trampy, steal your husband, because, like, there's been a couple of times people have made movies with her and not come home, which I think is pretty horrible, but I love Angelina Jolie.
No, I can't stand her.
I love her.
I
don't know why I give her a pass on the fucker.
I don't give her a pass on anything.
I normally do not. And I don't understand why every time I see Halle Berry, she looks like she just watched one of her own movies and was so frightened and just left the house that way.
We could have that conversation later, but she's one of the most overrated actresses of our time.
I mean, on the red carpet, I looked at her and I was like, oh, you look like you just watched one of your movies and got out the car. Gotcha. Well, that would explain this whole look.
Women are, I mean, that's the sexism, though. Like, women are judged differently.
No, okay, that's bullshit. This is not about... Her hair looked horrible. It's not. I hate when people think it is not that. It is not about being judged differently. That look was terrible. Sometimes shit's just terrible. You know what I mean? Sometimes it is just.
What did you think of? What did you think of Lakeith Stanfield's hair? Exactly.
No.
Can you remember it?
Yes, I can, because I loved that jumpsuit that he had on.
Oh, that was great.
And I thought that he was giving me a full retro, really, like he to me is just such a weirdy guy, but I
like
love that about him. And listen, Laura Dern's dress seemed to be very polarized to people. I loved it. I thought it was fabulous, but a lot of people didn't love it, you know?
Well, all right. I love Laura Dern, so there you go. All right. Yeah, I mean, I do. All right. So we were talking, we'll talk about, you know, live music. There was this weekend or past weekend, I had what I would consider to be a peak Brooklyn experience, both for good and for bad. The
Right.
DMX Memorial was held a few blocks from my house. So basically, if you were ever wanting to see every Japanese motorcycle known to mankind coming down the street, you had your chance in the big monster truck with his
Did you see the monster truck?
No, because I was trying. Okay, I was trying to get across the fucking street. I mean, no, and this is not disrespect, you know. But I was like, I need officer.
Are you that person that was like, I just need to get right
I just want to get
there.
across the street, and it wasn't like a disrespectful. But okay. First off, I'm walking down Lafayette Avenue, and I'm like, what's going on? Oh no, is there something bad happening? Because there's cops everywhere and there's tons of people, and then you see the barricades, and I'm like, is something bad happening? And they were like, no, it's the DMX. I'm like, oh, okay. And they said, yeah, you can cross the street, and they opened up the barricades. It's fine. So that was crazy. He's very grateful I wasn't driving a car because traffic was backed up. So there was that old school Fort Greene, Brooklyn, where the motorcycles and the off-duty cops who ride motorcycles, which is why these guys never get arrested because they're off-duty cops, allegedly. And hanging out, and it was great, and loud noise and blasting. And then, on another street, there were a bunch of young-ish white hipsters having a block party. And I was like, oh, I'm at peak Brooklyn. I gotta get inside. I need to go inside. It's too much Brooklyn for me right now.
I mean, and the new Brooklyn.
And the two Brooklyns were not meeting. I said, I need to get inside right now. So,
well, it's so funny. I came to Brooklyn for the first time in months over the weekend. I had to drop some stuff off.
I know. I saw your posting where you were eating. I'm a little hurt. It's okay.
Well,
it's okay.
Well, here's the thing. You know, I'm still all freaked out, right? I'm still not being around people, and everybody was making fun of me because everybody was vaxxed, and I'm still sitting there being a freak. I was like, look, I have fucking PTSD. But when I walked past Fort Greene Park, there was 700,000 people in there.
No,
I was
no, don't even. No, I can't. No, it's that's a whole nother.
Literally,
show.
there was 700. And you know what I was thinking when I was walking by your house? I was like,
they put picnic benches up. They didn't do that back in the 90s, did they? No, they wanted you in and out.
I think the next time I come to Brooklyn, I definitely got to hit you though, because I was like, we need to. And I thought about this. I was like, I didn't give her enough notice. I was like, we need to maybe snap some photos so we have some new photos for the show. We have not been together in over a year.
Well, no, this past summer we saw each other briefly.
Briefly, but I'm talking about doing the show. We would always take pictures after every show.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The last shit, we're standing next to what is it, BTS?
BTK or BTK is the serial killer. It's the serial killer.
No, I think, wasn't that BKS?
Whatever. Not the serial killer. But anyway, so this past weekend there was a big show in Tompkins Square Park, a free hardcore show. What is that weirdness? A free hardcore show, and you know that's my roots.
Right.
Some of the old bands, Murphy's Law, shout out Jimmy Gestapo.
Like the original old school hardcore bands out there?
Yeah, some old ones, and then some new ones. And it turns out that there's an A7 compilation coming out, and I'm like, really?
Wow.
But anyway, I was like, why am I not a consultant on this?
Right.
There were thousands of people in Tompkins Square Park, which for people outside of New York is not a huge park. It's not Central Park.
That's where the original Wigstock used to be.
Right, exactly, yeah. But so it's and they had a permit, and it was sort of like, you know, if this were it was a super spreader event because not a lot of people were wearing masks. Now, granted, a lot of New Yorkers are vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so people were like, how is it that they got this permit? And
how did they get this permit?
Well, I saw something on the interwebs from someone who lives in the Lower East Side. This sounds crazy, but it sounds so crazy that it's actually possibly true.
Okay.
During the Dinkins administration, when they were starting to take over the Lower East Side and kick the squatters out and all that stuff, they kind of made a deal with them like, okay, if you leave, you can have permits for Tompkins Square Park. But that sounds like for the rest of your life.
Right. Like, because we don't honor anything that long in this town. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's like saying, hey, if you moved out of your house, we'll give you alternate side of the street parking suspended for the rest of your life.
But here's the thing. Where else is really, I mean...
So that was a little scary, though. It was a little like, because there's another show coming up, and now they're like, we're going to have to reevaluate this.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. People are so starved for entertainment that, and especially if it's outside, no matter what you do, everybody's going to come. We have been locked up for so long, and people are so starved for it that, I'm waiting. Can you imagine if they give permits for fucking Soul Summit? Do you know what that would look like this summer?
A mess. It would look like a giant blob of black gayness.
I think that
it would be a mess. Because it's a mess without.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be quadruple the size that it is. And the size that it is already
too big.
I think every corner of that park would be filled because people want something to do, and outside is where it's going to all be at, you know?
No, it has to be because of which we'll get to a little later, the new CDC guidelines and stuff. But
I wish there was going to be some real summer stay stuff, because normally
I don't think
we would have had the slate announced by now. Shows would have been, like, May.
Well, you know why they can't do it? Because most of those groups come from outside of New York City. Who's touring? You can't, they would have to come here and quarantine for 2 weeks.
Well, the thing is, this is where you get creative with the programming and give New York bands a shot and New York DJs and have dance parties. And
they might be able to pull something like that off. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they could pull off something on Coney Island, like those DJ sets there. Yeah. If they could pull off in like Von King Park or St. Nicholas Park, little things, but they are not.
They still
Shakespeare in the Park is coming back this year.
Shakespeare in the Park is coming back this year.
So, I mean, they will be able to pull off, but they are not going to be, nobody is touring. I mean, you're not going to bring in international acts, not at this point. All right. In the horrible, it comes in threes, it comes in fours now. We lost DMX, as we've spoken about. We lost Black Rob. And we
lost a little bit about Black Rob, you know.
I loved him. I loved him. I mean, he was sort of like he had a big hat. He had a big hat. Yeah. He had a big hit, but he was sort of very much. He was like the sound of Bad Boy before Bad Boy got shiny.
Right.
You know, before Puffy took over. And he was I loved, what's that song? He's Black Rob, he's okay, da, 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 da. I love that song. And then, Whoa, that was his big hit,
right?
That
was a big, big hit for him,
Great song. So he was very much a New York uptown guy, right?
Yep, uptown. I used to see him at my barbershop.
Yeah, so very much. So he passed away. He had been in ill health for a while, and like many artists on Bad Boy, had been screwed by Puffy, but they made amends before he died, which is nice. And then Shock G died from Digital Underground. And it's funny, I went back and listened to Sex Packets, their debut, because I hadn't listened to it. Oh, my God, it's like a perfect album.
Mm-hmm. Full of party jams.
Totally, but smart. Very P-Funk, very Prince. Well, all right, so most of you guys probably know Digital Underground because they were the Humpty Dance, and Shock G had his persona, so he was Shock G, and then he had Humpty Hump, who wore the glasses and the big, sort of like Sir Nose devoid of funk from Parliament, with the big nose. All right, so this is, and it was always like, I remember being in a club once with Leslie Pitts and a couple of people who's like, it was a Prince party, but Prince wasn't there yet. And we see Shock G walking through the crowd, and he's dressed as Humpty. It was like hilarious. But here's a great story, and then I want you to talk about the album because I know you loved it too. Okay. And also, he co-wrote Mama Said Knock You Out. Did you know that?
Oh, wait a minute. I just got a notice. Beginning May 17th at 12 a.m., outdoor dining and curfew for bars and restaurants will be lifted here in New York.
Fuck. All right. Well, whatever.
It's on.
Who's just accused Cuomo of sexual harassment?
No, but I saw him yesterday on TV, and I thought I saw a fucking unicorn. I was like, I forgot all about you.
Yeah.
Where have you been hiding?
So, Digital Underground, that's where Tupac gets his start. But, all right, so here's my Shock G story, and then I want you to talk about him and then Jim Simon, who we'll talk about. So I interviewed Digital Underground. Well, I interviewed Shock G, you know, when Sex Packets came out. So he says to me during the interview, oh, hey, do you mind if I smoke? And I kind of hesitate, and I'm like, yeah, sure. The interview was on the phone.
See, but he was being polite. I don't mind that.
I mean, that to me is one of the greatest, like,
right.
Huh?
It's like, do you mind if I smoke? I'm like, I can't see you. You can do it.
I can't see you. As far as I know, it's like teaching on Zoom. Do you mind if I go to the bathroom? I can't see you. That
reminds me of when, whenever Cypress Hill used to come up to Columbia, and we had an artist lounge on the floor. They'd be in there, but they'd be smoking in it, and the whole floor was just literally. It would smell like a bomb of fucking weed. I don't even think you could be that. I don't know if can you go to your label and do that anymore? Like have that kind of
no, not now, not now. No,
we up the office.
You can't smoke indoors now. I mean, that's the thing. You can't smoke anything indoors.
You couldn't smoke indoors then.
Oh, okay. Well,
there was no. You can smoke. This is like Cypress Hill. You know, when the artists come, especially back then, the artists coming in? What do they need? Put them in there. No one's saying anything to the artist.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's
all right. So why don't you talk? Anyway, so Shock G, really innovative.
And I think people really dig in, and especially like you said with the Tupac stuff, to realize he was more than just Humpty Hump. Right.
Oh, yeah.
He really had his hand in some fierce stuff. That West Coast rap in that whole period of time on really some prolific records on classic albums.
Well, he wrote I Get Around for Tupac.
Which is, I mean, who doesn't love that's
his best one of his best songs.
I was gonna say that's one of those songs that everybody loves. It has such that sort of Cali sound. It really epitomizes that.
So a really great so why don't you talk a little bit about Jim Simon? I'm going to lay back in the cut here.
Let me just tell you. Jim Simon, to me, you know, I think most people will probably know him from, you know, his Meatloaf work, you know, Bat Out of Hell and, you know, all of those things. But I am a huge Bonnie Tyler fan. And
how are we still friends?
I mean, total fucking eclipse of the heart, man. That is like that composition is just amazing, and fucking holding out for a hero. And the thing that really gets me is I love the sound. Listen, you know me and my random ass records, like random ass shit that nobody else will.
Yeah, no, you sometimes pull some shit out your ass. I'm like, what?
And you're like, you like that? I'm like, I know, it's really super. Like, even from the day one of me liking Yoko Ono, my mother would just be like, what the fuck? Like, why are you?
I'm with Ma Anderson on that.
She'd be like, what? Because when I was having my walking on thin ice moment, my mother was like, what the fuck? It's like, why? What is this?
Why are you strangling a cat? Why are you strangling a cat?
She's like, this is the weirdest shit I've ever heard. But the Fire Inc. songs, Nowhere Fast, and Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young. I just like the fact that he was a writer, and he was a composer, and he was a producer, and he just gave you big, bombastic, and we don't really have that in pop anymore. All of his songs were long. All of the songs now are 2 minutes. And if you think about the music we get now versus his style, you just don't get that huge orchestration. Like he did Celine Dion, It's All Coming Back to Me Now. That's like a little epic mini opera. And to me, like him passing away is kind of like a little bit of that generation of people who make music like that leaving. Like no one else is coming with those kind of dramatic things. Everybody now we're in a streaming world where people watch videos that last for a minute, 10 seconds, or in 15 and 30-second clips. So now the songs are made to be like 2 minutes, 20-something seconds. You get an extended version of the song that's 3 minutes. Fucking, it's all coming back to me now as like a 7-minute song. You know, the Bat Out of Hell songs are really long songs. The Streets of Fire songs are 5 and 6 minute songs. Bonnie Tyler songs are long songs. And it makes me sad to think of such a legendary guy. And I feel like just part of that musical history has left us. You know, and maybe these new kids don't care because they're listening to something different. But I do believe we lose something when we're losing these kind of artists and producers and writers who just make really great songs. They're not making songs that need to be heard in 30-second increments.
I think there's still, I hear what you're saying. I mean, listen, I enjoy some over-the-top shit too. I mean, I do enjoy the over-the-top drama stuff. I actually, when I'm talking to people, when I'm talking to my students, I'll go, okay, turn around, Bright Eyes, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. The Meatloaf gave me, it was too much. It was too much for me. But I understand, I certainly appreciate the orchestration and the composership and the musicality of stuff. It just wasn't my sort of vibe in terms of over the top, and I just found it was too much. Yeah. But, I think that I think that there are people out there orchestrating and making big music because that was an aberration. Let's be honest. I mean, that was not the norm back then either. Radio has never been, FM radio when it started maybe had 10-minute songs because the DJ wanted to get up and go outside and come back, you know? But so radio play has dictated and video play, and those videos were huge.
Huge production.
Yeah, but and he also was Rocky Horror Show too. Oh, no, that was an email that came from Rocky Horror Show. I think that there's always the possibility for that over the top. You're seeing it in different genres though. In a lot of ways, Latin trap has that sort of, Rosalia, in a way, in her dramatic, it's overly dramatic. It's just, the songs are shorter. That is true. But everything is shorter now. Our attention spans are shorter now.
It's crazy. Well, you know, I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine.
In fact, I have to get off the mic now because I've lost, I don't know wait a minute, who are you?
Right. It's like, I'll start reading an article and stop in the middle of it and move on to something else. And it's like, fuck, I never would do that. I would read shit to the end. It's like, I have to really focus. I'll sit down and watch TV 15 minutes into something and I'm moving on to something else. It really has made our attention spans so much shorter.
No, it really kind of, we're little flies with ADD. So, no, go.
Speaking of little flies and horribleness, can we just try to figure out what the fuck is going wrong at NBC that they would decide, oh, I know, let's have Elon Musk host Saturday Night Live, because this show does really great with people who aren't actors or comedians trying to do a live comedy sketch.
He's not even not an actor or comedian. He is, okay, first off, he didn't invent Tesla. He was an investor in it, okay? So he's not an inventor. He's not a great thinker. He's not a politician, because they have had politicians are. He's not a civic advocate. He's nothing but a really rich guy who can market things. He is a COVID denier. He has said horribly anti-gay and transphobic stuff. He called the guy, remember those kids that were trapped in the cave in Thailand and the guy rescued them? Remember that? He called the guy a pedophile who rescued them. He was sued for that. So he's kind of a piece of shit, this guy. And yet here he is hosting. I mean, this is not cancel culture. This is just like, he's not a personality. He's just like a rich guy. Like why don't we just put Jeff Bezos up there? Why don't we put every rich guy up there?
And since we got to say these kind of things, allegedly a liar, because he tried to say with this, first of all, the timing of this with that Tesla accident that just happened with those two men where one was sitting in the front and one was sitting in the back, and their wives said that they left the house to go drive the new Tesla, and wanted to test out the autopilot feature. He's trying to say, no, the autopilot feature wasn't on, but they won't turn over the full reports to the authorities. And it's like, dude, like there are reports of this car having autopilot failure accidents, and you are a liar. Like do you remember when he had the big thing when they were unveiling the Tesla truck, and it was the most unbreakable glass ever, and he took the mallet and he hits the glass window
and it broke,
shatters, and you're just like, because that's what you're selling people, bullshit. You're selling them bullshit.
Yeah, so he's just, when we normalize, I have no problem with a politician being on if you're equal, but when we normalize stuff, and it's so funny because you always hear about liberal bias. I would argue to say that there's actually, why do we assume that Lorne Michael, who's the producer of Saturday Night Live, is liberal? He's always had somewhat conservative people hosting the show in terms of politicians, right? He had Sarah Palin, he had Trump, and so there is a protest within the show. The person, he won't get pulled because Lorne Michael's like whatever. But the thing that I just find, I don't know first off, from an entertainment standpoint, what is this man going to bring? What is he going to bring?
Is he? First of all, he's a weirdo. And
he's a weirdo.
If I'm calling something weird,
he's a weirdo. He's a little spectrum.
What is he supposed to bring that we are supposed to want to see? Like, what about that says
he has no personality? Yeah, he has no personality. And the other thing I'm sort of like, so Miley Cyrus is the musical guest. First off, why?
It's like the 19th time.
Right. Why? What is she promoting? And if Miley Cyrus is Little Miss Gay Rights, then why don't you put your money where your performative gayness is and say, I'm not going to go on stage with a guy who has made transphobic comments or is or has downplayed COVID or who opened up his factory in California in the middle of the shutdown. So, I don't, me no likey him. No, like him. He's bad man.
And listen, I've been in a Tesla. They're nice, but my concern with it is how come every time a Tesla gets into an accident, they burst into fucking flames?
Well, I don't know what
people can't escape the car because of those batteries that they have. Oh,
that's not good.
No, Miss Thing, you don't realize that it was some crazy shit. This last car that crashed, because the batteries do this thing where they regenerate themselves. It took them hours and something like 30,000 gallons of water to put the car out. Okay,
that sounds like the exact opposite of how I'd like to spend my day. So
you know what I'm saying.
So maybe he'll go up in flames on stage.
And doesn't he has another one of those girlfriends that you like that I don't know who the person is.
You know who Grimes is. You very much you know who she is.
I know her name. I cannot name you one.
You would actually, all joking aside, really like her music. She is very much, at least her early stuff, is very much up here. I haven't heard her in a while, but her earlier stuff, she was a critic's favorite. She was making very kind of off-centered dance pop, and not lightheaded, hard to dance pop, like kind of edgy. I think
I'll go back and listen to some of the albums.
She's not my favorite. She's from Canada. But she was somebody that was the girl for like a second. I saw her opening up for Florence and the Machine, and I actually made a concerted effort to pay attention. And I was like, okay. I mean, I wouldn't listen to it on a regular basis, but yeah, I have kind of no use for her. But she is somebody that I think that you would find.
You think I would dig it?
You would get it. I don't know if you would not go, oh, this is bullshit.
Well, I have some of the music. I'll go back and listen to it.
Yeah,
I just have never even listened
but
to
she was like, but whenever, all right.
Didn't they name their kids some weird name?
No, they named their kids,
Zebra D.
As I said, they named their kid as homeschooling because this child will never go to a public school and have his ass kicked up and down the street. That's called, my child is named Private Tutor.
Right. Exactly.
And my child will never learn how to spell because their name is unspellable. Their child's name is basically Morse code. It's ridiculous. All right. Well, speaking of music, I thought it would be fun. We were talking, you and I thought it would be fun to talk about, music because, we like music. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go on the Billboard charts, that old thing, and see what the kids are listening to. Because I actually watch MTV videos every once in a while. So I was looking. Yeah, I do. No, I know. I want to keep up with the young people. I work with kids.
Yeah,
and
but
of
then
course,
why would you go to MTV?
Exactly, I know. I would go to YouTube.
I'm like,
Every
that's
time
the last,
that's
the last place to go if you're trying to know what the kids are doing.
I know. Well, they look like the white kids. How's that? But
they don't even go.
They don't go. I know. I'm pretending. So I started listening to, the number one song in the country this week is a rapper called Polo G.
Yeah, rap star.
Rap star. Okay, is in my imagination there's been pop star, rock star, rap star. It's a little boring. Yeah, it's a little boring with the thing. But what's interesting about this, and this is sort of thinking thematically, there have been in the last couple of years a lot of rappers, him being one, Pop Smoke, Juice WRLD, who's still on the charts, Juice WRLD and Pop Smoke, where they're very, very down. I mean, they're very talking about, it's sort of that sing-songy rap, but it's very kind of like, my life is fucked up. And not in a kind of, my life is fucked up because I don't have a new car. My life is fucked up because things are. So it's interesting because typically we don't associate hip-hop with introspection and talking about mental illness. And so these kids we're going to have the post-pandemic generation of rappers and musicians who are going to be making music in a bubble, literally, right?
Well, the U.S. rappers, because this is why I've been listening to a lot of U.K. hip-hop artists and U.K. pop artists, and the U.K. kids, even through lockdown, have made party music, up music, and I noticed all of the U.S. pop and the U.S. rap, everything is just kind of dour.
Well, not all of it. Dua Lipa is still burning up the charts.
Yes, but I just said.
Yeah, most.
A UK girl. I'm talking about the American girls. The UK kids, I just said, all the UK kids have come with party music.
Yeah.
They came with dance albums. They were saying things in their lyrics about love and different stuff, but they decided to take the approach of beats and moving. And I've noticed just a lot of the American pop stuff and even the hip hop stuff is very sing-songy sad.
Well, the number two,
Silk Sonic,
I was just going to say Silk Sonic. Now, let me ask you something, because I am a Bruno Mars
fan. Doja, who I like.
Oh, okay. Let's pause for 1 second. I want to ask you about Silk Sonic, and I want you to be honest, because I like Anderson .Paak a lot, and I love Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars has never found a genre that he couldn't duplicate and give us back. He's the paraphraser of pop music, and I'm not mad at it, because I love a man with dance moves
very
and
pantomime, yes.
But I love it, and he makes. I mean, tell me, it's a great song, but tell me how this is not just the stylistics with how it's, there's reverence and then there's like, oh, Jesus Christ, you're doing a cover song.
Again. So, which is how I kind of feel about it. I think it's fine. I'm not really into it as much as everybody else. I'm like, I've heard this before. This is a retread from all the shit that I've grown up on. But I'm glad for this younger generation who won't know any of that. To them, they know that it sounds older, but they don't know any of the influence and where it comes from. So for them, it's great. I feel like so much of this music, when I look at this chart, is just not even directed at me.
And not at all.
But used to be some shit. It was just good music. It didn't care. Young, old, we all liked it. Dua Lipa, I think Levitating is great, right? We've talked about that. Levitating is a great song. I'm happy
her
for
other
Lil
single.
I'm happy for Lil Nas X. I don't love it, but I have friends who love that shit. And I really like Doja Cat. I like her song.
Explain it to me, please.
Well,
I really find her to be so fucking irritating.
Well, I don't like her when she talks.
She worked with a rapist, so I don't like that. From that alone, allegedly.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people did. A lot of the people worked with him and got a lot of hits out of him. So, we can't just single her.
But they didn't know at the time. She knew. She knew. Anyway, we're talking about Dr. Luke, who allegedly raped Kesha, which means he did.
Allegedly.
No, she didn't. It wasn't alleged.
But you gotta say that though. You gotta.
Who?
Say
Who's
allegedly.
listening? His lawyers?
Wait. You always say that until the day some shit goes down, and you're like, I can't believe they were fucking listening.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like when I threatened to kill the president.
I mean, oh my God.
And that was the other president.
Wait. And that was like our first show. I was like, I think coming out the gate.
threatening to kill the president.
Threatening to kill the president is not the best way to
Well, that's something you can do. If I was wearing a MAGA hat, I could threaten it. But anyway, explain Doja Cat. I'm going to sit here because she has like...
No, you know what it is? I don't
explain
care.
It.
I don't give a shit about her as a person. I think she's really weird and she's stepped in it a lot. But before she was signed to a major label, I used to get these songs from her that I thought were great, especially this one that was probably around 2014 called No Police. And I love that song. I love it. And then she had another song called Mood. It was great. So I like the fact that she makes weird tunes and I like her music. I'm not really a fan of her per se when she talks. I'm like, yeah, you seem like you're stepping it too much. Just make cool, kooky music. And for that, I like an artist who can be out there and be weird.
Is she weird though? I think she's very calculated.
Well, she is, but a little bit, she grew up on an ashram and she's one of those kids. Yeah, she grew up on an ashram where Alice Coltrane was the leader.
Oh, she grew up in, her parents are Alice Coltrane followers?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Her mother.
Then there's no excuse for her strange anti-blackness, though, as a black woman.
Because the thing is, I think her mother is white and her father is black, and I think she didn't grow up with the father, so it's that weird thing that kind of happens with some of the kids, and, like going through identity crisis and, saying the wrong shit. And these days, you say something and 50 million people have an opinion. It's like, you can't even, grow into whatever you're supposed to grow into or make the mistakes out loud anymore without, 50 million opinions coming at you from 80 million directions.
Is she a TikTok? Is that where she came from?
Yeah, well, no, but she got, I think she'd been, like I said, making music for a long time on her own, and I re-released and made a little cheap video for one of her songs, and RCA signed her. Okay. And her song, The Streets. Okay, I don't know if you've been watching the challenge, but her song, The Streets, which has become a big hit for her, that was the Put Your Head on My Shoulders challenge. Have you seen that TikTok challenge where sometimes people be dressed one way and then they hit the wall?
I find all that stuff to be the reason that America is in decline. Sorry.
Anyway, so that's her. But she's interesting. The music, to me, is good pop music. It's good, fun American pop music. Yeah. And I'm always down for some good fucking American pop music.
I love pop music. It's so funny. I don't. What's really interesting though? Okay, so our friend Demi Lovato plummeting out of the charts.
Oh my God.
She went from number 1 to number 32. Mm-hmm. That's you only see the country music influence in the album charts, which is typical. All right, someone needs to bless his heart. He's a lovely guy, but why is Maroon 5 pretending they're a band still? And he's 110 years old. Stop making this music. And I like him. He's a very nice person. And here's my latest person I cannot stand. This kid Leroy. Have you heard this idiot?
No, what's the kid Leroy?
He's like Justin. If Justin Bieber is too intellectually complex for you,
no.
He makes those songs where he's like the hook, and that's not his fault because it's like just repeating the word over and over again. He's got like the old Justin Bieber haircut. So if Justin Bieber is too thought-provoking and too intellectual and too spiritual for you, the kid Leroy. I'm just like, I look at him and I'm like, child, as you would say. I don't get it. It's not mine to get. I don't get Olivia Rodrigo too, but it's not mine to get.
Right, it's still not ours to get. And I'm still gagging that I was last years old when I just realized that PJ Morton is the black guy.
Oh yeah,
in
yeah, I
Maroon
know,
5.
I know. Well, don't worry.
I'm still gagging over that.
You don't need to worry anymore because there's nobody in Maroon 5. He doesn't even put him in the videos anymore. I'm hoping for their sake that he's nice and they do like REM did and U2 does and divides up the check. Because
they must be nice. They've been together for a long time. They haven't just everybody literally think it's one person.
No, it's him. He is Maroon 5. I mean, he is a really super nice guy. He does suffer from the way too many tattoos syndrome, but he seems like a very nice guy. He is a nice guy, but enough with you sitting in the car with female singers that are a quarter of your age. It's offensive. You know what I mean? Seriously. It's offensive. It's like you're 50 years old and you have the latest hot black chick du jour in the car with you. She wasn't even born when This Love came out.
Is it Megan Thee Stallion?
Yeah, whatever. It's interchangeable. And then Megan's going to age out and it'll be Saweetie. And then the young... Who's a young mulatto? They're just a...
You know what's so funny? I hate that name. I hate that she...
What, young mulatto?
Like,
horrible.
Girl. Really?
Horrible.
Like, really,
horrible.
Girl?
Horrible.
That's the name? That's what you chose?
Yeah, really. Horrible. Horrible.
It's
horrible.
Like, Amy, sometimes I'm just like, people are like, why do you smoke weed? I'm like, this is why. This is why.
No, it's horrible. It's literally like
where was all the things you could pull up. You're like, I know.
This is when you need a record label and a marketing team to sit her ass down and go, I don't think
she's on a label. She's on RCA. I'm like, y'all putting out. Okay.
No. All right. Is there anything you want to touch on quickly, or do you want to mention that we're going, or anything you're listening to, or you wanted to anything?
Well, I was listening to Debbie Boone this morning, and
yeah, the original white pop artist.
I was listening to my "You Light Up My Life" album.
You were fucking lying to me.
I'm not. I was.
Oh my God! When did you start smoking? When did you start smoking today?
I was drinking my morning water, eating my vitamins, and I was having my sliced Cara oranges.
Wait a minute! I love a Cara orange.
I love a Cara orange.
It's good if you have acid problems, and they're pink. I like them. They're very delicious.
I was having my Cara oranges, and I've decided I'm feeling quite white woman this morning. So I went to the soundtrack section, and I pulled out "You Light Up My Life," and I put on Miss Debbie Boone.
You know, had I known all this before we decided to do this show, I might have rethought it. But somebody, if you're going to have a white woman who can reference the Jack and Jill Society in a sentence, we need to have a black man who can without irony, talk about Debbie Boone. So we have to, Courtney, we're here to destroy cultural stereotypes.
We sure are.
So I'm like, sure, knock yourself out. Go for it. So that's what you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
What have I? I listened to Sex Packets the other day, which was just a lot of fun. I mean, it was just a lot of fun to kind of. That is, I guess, the upside of streaming. Is that you can go. It's right there, and you can listen to it. I haven't really been listening to a lot much. I've been just sort of busy with wondering what the meaning of life is and that kind of shit.
Weird. Like it's been weird.
Nothing's coming out. The next big album that's coming out is the Billie Eilish record is coming out in a couple of weeks. And that's it. There's no big record coming out because I don't think anybody can support. I don't mean money-wise. I mean just support. There's nothing really coming out. So it's not like here comes the single and, here it comes. So
right, if we do a Drake album, I'm pretty, at this point, I mean, Beyonce's last album was 2016, so I'm sure people are looking for a Beyonce album. We're doing an Adele album.
Oh, yeah.
Christina Aguilera's working on some stuff.
Christina Aguilera. Wow, I wonder if she can even come back. How about Rihanna? Right. Rihanna's never going to put a record out. Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
And she supposedly has a done album, supposedly, allegedly. But, I think for her, after all of this time, she probably doesn't want to put out a record where she can't go out and do anything for it, But we'll see, right? Summer is coming. I bet you we get a Rihanna record this summer. It's like, this would be the perfect time. Like, if people stop asking, so now just drop that shit and come when it's hot outside, when more people can be vaccinated and out.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. I mean, but then again, she's making more money than God.
I would love a Rihanna record, man.
Me
Something
too.
Just make me shake my ass, man.
No, I love her.
She's going to come and make us shake our ass. She's not going to come with some, I'm sad, my driver's license, and all these songs that everybody's singing. She's going to be like, boom, bop, 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 bop. Like, work, Rihanna, do it.
No, I love her. I do love her.
I love her, too.
I love her, too. All right. Well, give them the tagline, my friend, because I never remember it.
Well, remember, guys, you can always follow us.
Oh, my God! Where did you get that? I'm sorry. I was like, Courtney got a man up in there.
I got a man voice, honey. Follow us on Twitter at Finish Imma. You can follow us also on Facebook at ImmaLetYouFinish, all one word. Please follow us on Instagram at ImmaLetYouFinishNY. And follow Listening Party Presents on IG. And remember to rate us, tell a friend, star us, leave a comment, and we'll get right back to you.
Really? It's all going to be a stone gas, honey.
Yes, blood.
All right, we will see you guys next week. Be safe.
We will really see you next week because I'll have my new glasses. I'll be able to see.
Oh, yeah. He'll literally be able to see you. He'll literally, so that when we do see each other, he'll go, Sam, girl, you fine for a woman that's 110 years old.
And for a man that's 79 right behind you, I'll be like, come here, you hot thing.
I know. It's so sad. It's so sad. All right, everybody, stay safe. Enjoy the nice weather.
Deuces.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.